Hello guys, welcome back. This is a video I've been contemplating making for quite a while because I get so many inquiries about it and comments about it, especially from people that are living in other countries that have never been to the Philippines. Let's face it, the majority of men from any country in the world, when given a choice, would prefer to marry a younger woman. She's more beautiful, she's more youthful, and if they have the choice, they're going to choose a younger woman. As long as looks is not the only reason you're with her, there's nothing wrong with that. And lots of times, especially in the Philippines, these relationships, they succeed just fine. But you have to find something else that you have in common with them, common ground, common interests. And of course, I found that one of the most important things, especially here in the Philippines, and probably this would be true in like Thailand, is communication, language. I dated somebody before I dated my wife, perfectly nice person, but her English was absolutely terrible, just terrible. We couldn't even have a conversation hardly, and the relationship fell apart. If you can't talk to somebody and communicate with them, there's no way the relationship is going to work. And so I've noticed that couples that I know with a big age gap difference, when the wife is very fluent in English, their relationship seems to be much stronger, and they seem to be more happier, and they have a better chance of succeeding because they can talk about things, they can discuss things, and there's not as many miscommunications or misunderstandings when it comes to language. So it's an important thing, and unfortunately the burden comes down on the wife because usually the men aren't going to learn Visaya or Tagalog, so they're going to come over here and hopefully meet someone that speaks English. And of course my wife's a prime example of that. Jen's English is absolutely excellent, and she can ask me about a word and I can tell her the definition of it, what it means or whatever, and she's got it forever. It's like you don't have to tell her again, she's got it in her mind, so she's really quick with languages. Another reason that, Filipinas marry older foreigners is stability, financial security, and there's nothing wrong with that. The Philippines is a poor country, and the options for a Filipino, your average Filipino, to find a suitable partner are very limited. And the desire to escape a life of poverty cannot be ignored. But just because she wants a man who can take care of her does not make her a gold digger or a scammer. There was a recent survey done of attractive young women from around the world, and the #1 requirement for all of them for a man before they would even consider him as a potential husband or spouse was he had to be financially secure. That was the most important thing. Have a good job, have money in the bank. That was one of the things that these women wanted more important than looks. And so it's something that women around the world are looking for. It's not just Filipinas. You can't say that all these Filipinas, they just want to marry somebody for the money. Women are the same way in America and all over the world. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but they want a guy that's stable. They don't want to have to take care of him. Another reason that Filipinas seek a traditional role with a man, they want the traditional gender role. Think like 1950s. They want to be the wife, the mother. They want to be taken care of. They want to be protected. And they're happy with the man making all the decisions. They have no problem with that at all. And so finding a stable man in the Philippines that's, it's a Filipino that can provide that for them is very difficult for them to find, because a lot of these men just don't have the financial means, or they just don't have the ability, and they don't want to have that kind of a relationship. Also in the Philippines, I've noticed this when I first came here, that the breadwinner in the family, whether it's a large family, small family, or whatever, often it's the woman. Go to the mall, 90% of the employees you'll see there are women. Same with OFWs, for overseas foreign workers. These women go to other countries like Saudi Arabia, they work for 2 years, they send all the money home for their families, and they'll do that until they retire, totally sacrificing their entire life for their family. Interesting though, many of the men that I've talked to that come to the Philippines, they're here for the exact same reason. They don't want a woke, liberated, I don't know what word you want to look for it, but a woman who wants to be bossy, tell them what to do, and equal decisions in the family, and she's got her career and you've got your career, and they conflict with each other. They want to be the head of the household. They want to have a wife who lets them be the man of the house. And there's nothing wrong with that. As long as the other person agrees, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you can't find that in your own country, there's a good reason to come someplace like the Philippines. And these men, they're decisive. Their young wife, the first of them, when making decisions. A traditional man sees himself not only as the provider for his family, but also as their protector. And I found it does a lot for these men's confidence, because a lot of times they've gone through bad divorces, they've had things happen to them in their lives back home, and they're just kind of beat down. They're just beat down, they have no self-confidence. They come over here and they meet a young Filipino, they end up getting married or in a serious relationship, and she's letting him take care of her, letting him make the decisions, and he feels like a man again. He feels like the leader, he feels like the head of the household, and it builds his confidence up. And that's a good thing. And you can't blame, some Filipinos for marrying a foreigner as their only opportunity to escape a life of poverty. You can't really blame them for that. And she's confident that he'll be able to provide for her and sometimes her family too. And that's true. Like you hear that as a complaint a lot, where they'll say, well, you marry a Filipina and she wants you to take care of her family too. Okay, that may be true because there's no Social Security over here. There's no safety net for families. They're kind of on their own. And so if she's got a job when you meet her, say she's working at the mall and she's helping to support her family, she might even be the only person supporting her family, and you come along and marry her, have her move in with you, and you think, well, I'm taking care of her now, so the family doesn't have to take care of her. But it's the other way around. She's taking care of the family, and you've taken that income away from them. And so it only seems fair for you to somehow supplement them, give them a little bit of money, help them out from time to time. And it's very common over here, and there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes, the chance to leave the Philippines and escape to another country is another reason why they're looking for a foreigner. They just, they're tired of living in poverty. They see the movies and TV, and they think that it's this incredible life, in other countries. And they think just going to another country, especially America, that's going to change their life, and sometimes it does. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Look at us. I went to another country and changed my life. So what's wrong with a Filipino wanting to leave the Philippines and go to America? They see it as a land of opportunity. And I say some because in my experience, 90% of the Filipinos I know do not want to leave the Philippines. But there's always exceptions, and like my wife has no desire to move to America, not even to visit America. She's perfectly happy where we are. She doesn't want to go anywhere. And, that's great. And often the men feel the same way. They're fed up with their country, whether it be Australia, America, UK, whatever, and they're just happy to be in the Philippines, so they don't want to go back either. And of course, there are these women who, like I said, do want to leave the country, and often these are the women who are most likely to divorce their husbands once they gain citizenship or a green card. It just happens. I hear about it all the time. Women who are in Australia and America, like they get over there and, 2 or 3 years later, they break up with their husband and stay in America and, find somebody else. So it does happen. I'm not denying that it does. However, I do know quite a few couples who were married. They went to America, they stayed there for several years. Their husbands had good jobs over there. Then they retired. They came back over here, and the wife is happy to come back to the Philippines. She had a good time in America, but she's happy to come back to the Philippines. And being in America did not affect her in any way. Her personality stayed the same. Her values stayed the same, and their relationship was not damaged at all by going to America. Because you'll hear guys say, "Oh, you take them to America, they get ruined by the feminazis and all this stuff." That's not necessarily true. If she was the type of person that's going to leave you and dump you and take advantage of you, she was like that when you met her. She didn't turn that way when you took her to America. Love. This is something that a lot of you guys will probably find hard to believe, but a lot of these women over here, they're marrying an older Filipino man or marrying an older foreign man because they're in love with them. They really love these guys. They find him interesting, attractive. He treats them really good. Some of these foreign guys are really good lovers, and they're just really happy with them, and they're in love, and that's the reason that they're with them. And a lot of times these relationships are the most solid, and they think that their husband is interesting, exotic, exciting, and the big age gap, doesn't matter because she gets the man of her dreams. And with these older foreigners, you'll find that when he does pass away, that she usually doesn't want to remarry. I know women who are financially stable over here now because of their exes, and they could find somebody else, but they don't. They're totally happy being alone. They had a good marriage with their husband who passed away. They don't want anybody else because they're still loyal to him. They're still in love with him. And of course, so many Filipinas see you, the older foreigner, as their only choice for a better life. For many Filipinas, they find it almost impossible to find a man in the Philippines who's willing to settle down, provide a decent life for them and their children. Infidelity is a big problem in the Philippines. That's why there's so many children here without having fathers. Many of these young Filipinas, they end up with a Filipino, and as soon as they get pregnant, he's gone, and they're off to survive on their own. And so many single moms over here, there's a lot of single moms, you'll meet them all the time, you'll see them on the websites and stuff. And they're usually quite open about it, that they've got a child, and they're delighted when they finally meet a foreigner who doesn't care that they've got a child, or doesn't care if they have 2 children. And he's happy to step in, take care of her, raise her children as if they're his own, and it works out great. And these women are totally devoted to their husband because, their children are the most important things in their life. They've got this man that comes along, and he treats her great, but he also treats her children great, and he's being a father to her children, and she couldn't be happier, so she loves him even more. And so this happens a lot. I mean, it happens a lot. And so she's married to marry a guy that's much older, maybe not that attractive, just because he's a good guy. Men get unconditional love from these women. Women in the Philippines often believe that an older foreign man will be faithful to them. And that's true. I mean, you think about it, a lot of these guys haven't had a relationship in 10, 20 years, and they've given up on that whole part of their life. They come over here, meet somebody, next thing you know, they're married. And for the first time in all these years, they got this beautiful woman in their life who loves them, and they got a great relationship. So they're not even going to think about cheating. The men I know who have Filipino wives or girlfriends, they never talk about cheating. When guys get together, you think they're going to talk about, hey, look at that girl. They don't. They're not even considering it. They're totally happy. And when you're older, you realize what you've got. You realize how fortunate you are to have this beautiful woman in your life. And so the last thing you're going to do is cheat on her. And it just doesn't happen. It's very, very rare for that to happen. But unfortunately, there's many foreign men who they meet a Filipino online. They fly to the Philippines for an intention of meeting her in person after making all kinds of promises, marriage, building a house, etc. And unfortunately, sometimes once they get here, they realize there are lots of attractive single women to choose from, and they decide to dump this girl that they've been chatting with for like a year and play the field. And unfortunately, that's a terrible thing to do. Don't be that guy. These guys have been video chatting with a Filipina for months, making her promises, getting her hopes up, and she's been sitting there waiting for his calls every single day for months, sometimes even years, and only to end up getting dumped as soon as he gets here and realizes there's all these other beautiful girls out here, and the first one that bats her eyes at him, he's gone. And these are the same guys, though, that end up getting scammed because these girls are not stupid. They can spot these guys, especially the ones that have been around a little bit. They can spot these guys, these wolves in sheep's clothing, and they're the ones that scam them. They're the ones that end up getting taken advantage of, and I call that karma. Anyway, in closing, it's true that an age gap is more challenging, especially the bigger the age gap, the more challenging it's going to be. I speak from experience here. But patience, love, providing your commitment to her every day, proving your commitment to her every day is the only way to overcome these trials and tribulations. So don't give up. But that's the reasons you can't blame these girls for wanting to date an older foreigner. It's totally accepted over here. It's accepted in many countries. This isn't the only country you'll see this. You'll see it in Vietnam. You'll see it in Thailand. You'll see it in Cambodia. You'll see it in Mexico. And so you can't really judge them for wanting to have a better life. And the fact is that a lot of these women, once they end up with these men and they start a relationship, they actually do fall in love with them. You don't always fall in love with someone instantly. Sometimes love takes a while. It can take a couple of months. The more you get to know some person and the better you get to know them, the more attractive they are to you once you get to know them. And the more you spend time with them and the better they treat you, the more in love you are with them. And that goes both ways. So anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you're a subscriber. and got some good interviews coming up. If you want to be on the show, shoot me an email. It's in all of my videos, or message me on Facebook Messenger if we're friends. And we'll see you next time. Bye.